This story is called Sweet and Sour, and it starts off with a storyteller, an old man, who always longed for his son to become a storyteller like himself. But unfortunately, his son was one of those people that when they reach a certain age, they start pretending that they don't like stories anymore. Of course, he did like them, but he wouldn't admit it. The storyteller also had 3 grandsons, and they loved his stories. And when they reached a certain age, they never stopped loving sitting around his lap and listening to the words that he used to spill out. So one day, the storyteller, he decided he was going to test the 3 brothers and give them a little competition, a challenge. He lined them up, he asked them to go into the town and bring back for him the most sweet and the most sour thing in the whole world. And off they went. The oldest brother was the fastest, so he got to the town first. And he went to the market, he rushed around, and he bought himself a bag full of sugar and a lemon. Sweet, sour, perfect. The next brother got to the town, and he took his time. He went through the market a bit slower, and he didn't think that maybe his grandfather wanted something obvious. He thought outside the box, and he bought some flowers, some beautiful flowers with every colour of the rainbow. And then he heard behind him some shouting, and he looked over, and a man had just come out of a shop. He'd only been in for a couple of minutes, but in that time, a traffic warden had walked by and slapped a parking fine on the windscreen of his car. And the man ripped the ticket off, he threw it down to the ground, and he said some things that I won't repeat now because there might be some sensitive ears listening to this story. And he sped off. The brother went over and picked the ticket up. The flowers were sweet. A parking ticket was sour. Perfect. The last brother slowly walked through the market. He weaved his way around the stalls. He ambled down the streets, listening and watching people. He walked all the way around the town, and then he started to walk back up towards the grandfather's house without anything, empty-handed. When he got to the top of the hill, the 2 brothers were waiting impatiently on the grass, and their grandfather was sitting on his chair, rocking slowly back and forth in the sunshine, dozing like this. They gently woke him up, and the grandfather asked the 3 brothers what they had all brought back. The oldest brother, he proudly presented the sugar and the lemon, and the grandfather, he smiled, but he said, no, that's not what I was looking for. That is sweet and that is sour, but not what I wanted. The next brother was a bit more smug, and he had the flowers and the parking ticket, and the grandfather laughed. The flowers were sweet and the ticket was sour, but that's not what he was looking for. And then they all turned to the youngest brother, and he slowly opened his mouth, and he pointed to his tongue, and the grandfather smiled. Yes, that is what I was looking for, because with your tongue you can say the most wonderful, sweet compliment in the whole world, but also the most sour, acidic insult. And they all sat down, and that morning they listened to the youngest brother tell a story instead. And all 3 brothers did become good storytellers, but it was always the youngest brother, the brother that had won that competition, who had the best stories.